Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News's live stream. It is July 19th, 2023, and Catalan Police have determined or suspect that Josep Maria Bartomeu was diverting funds from the club in the whole Barca Gate scandal. Also, it seems that Manchester City are interested in signing Raphinha. And finally, there's a lot of talks about Barcelona negotiating a loan deal for Joao Felix with an option to buy. We have a lot to discuss, so let's dive right in. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mo. As always, this is Barca News' live stream, which is on every Monday and Wednesday at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I will be doing a section of news followed by the comment or the chat section where I will be reading your comments and get a discussion going. And of course, for those of you who don't like the longer content, I will be leaving timestamps in the description. And also, I will be adding chapters to the timeline so you can skip through the discussion and get straight to the news. As usual, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you want any Barcelona jerseys or gear, including Barcelona's newest jersey, make sure you hit the kickback. The link is in the description. Now, let's begin with the news, because today Barcelona made official a news that I broke to you last week, which is that Oriol Romeu is officially a Barcelona player. Now, Barcelona signed Oriol Romeu from Girona for 4.5 million euros. And in exchange, also, we sent Pablo Torres to Girona on loan with no option or obligation to buy. Of course, that announcement was made official yesterday that Pablo Torres is now a Girona player for the upcoming season. But what we didn't know, and it seems that Oriol Romeu, who came up through the Barcelona Academy, who's always considered Barcelona as his home, actually agreed to reduce his salary by half, because that's how much he wanted to come to the club, which is, of course, very much appreciated, especially during this difficult financial time that the club are currently going through. Now, Oriol Romeu will, of course, be playing in a pivot position in the place of Sergio Busquets. His contract is for 2 seasons with an option to extend for 1 more. Now, Oriol Romeu has joined the team who are already on their way to the U.S. They left Barcelona today. They had a training session in the morning, and then they boarded the flight to the U.S. to begin the U.S. preseason tour, with the first match being against Juventus in Santa Clara, California. And the club have released a list of all the players who are traveling to the U.S. preseason tour. Now, the players are Marc ter Stegen, Ronald Araujo, Gavi, Ousmane Dembele, Pedri, Robert Lewandowski, Ansu Fati, Ferran Torres, Iñaki Peña, Andreas Christensen, Marcos Alonso, Frank Kessie, Sergio Roberto, Frankie de Jong, Raphinha, Jules Koundé, Eric Garcia, Alejandro Balde, Julián Araujo, Dest, Abde Lenglet, plus the 3 new signings, which are Ilkay Gundogan, Inigo Martinez, and Oriol Romeu. And finally, several players from the academy, including Mikel Fey, Marc Casado, Astralaga, Lamine Yamal, Fermín López, Alex Valle, and Aleix Garrido. Now, 2 names that are not, or actually 3 names that are not included in this list, which was we expected them to be included, is first of all Stanis Pedrola, who is negotiating an exit out of Barcelona. Also, Shad Riyad, who's reported will also be leaving Barcelona this summer. And finally, Nico Gonzalez, because he's very close to sealing his exit out of Barcelona to the Portuguese club Porto. Now, of course, other players like Lenglet and Dest, who Barcelona do want to offload, have been included, because as I reported in yesterday's video, Xavi has decided to take all the players with him, including the players that Barcelona want to offload, even though Mateo Alemany wanted to exclude those players from the tour and leave them in Barcelona in order to put more pressure on them, and so they can end up leaving the club. Now, 2 players who have traveled with the team are, of course, Alejandro Balde and Lamine Yamal, 2 players that I reported about last week, which I told you that they had agreed to extend their contracts with Barcelona. Alejandro Balde, who will be extending until 2028, and Lamine Yamal, who will be extending until 2026, because he just turned 16. So Barcelona were able to offer him his first professional contract, but given his young age, he can only sign a contract up to 3 seasons. So Barcelona were only able to offer him a 3-season contract. But hopefully, of course, in the future, if he does do well we can extend that contract even more. Now, both Balde and Lamine Yamal were seen headed to the Barcelona offices prior to boarding their flight. So it's expected they have already put pen to paper and that these contract renewals are complete and that Barcelona should be making the official announcement in the upcoming days. So that's all the news, kind of like the short news that I all put together. Romeu has been officially announced. The team are on their way to the US, and Lamine Yamal and Alejandro Balde have both extended their contracts with Barcelona. Now, let's head to the comment section, and then we'll talk about the huge bombshell, which is that Bartomeu was diverting funds from Barcelona. Of course, I'm not surprised, but nonetheless, this was the conclusion of the Catalan Police. So there's a little bit more weight to this now. All right. So let's see. A lot of people in that comment section. I love it. Chris and Sundar, who were waiting before even the live stream started. David says, good night, fans. Imagine an attack with Lewandowski, Dembele, and Felix. All right. We'll talk about Joao Felix, so stay tuned. Tejas says, hey, Mo, can you do a video on our squad with the three new signings, emphasizing players in each position? Okay. So for the squad, I'm not going to make a video until the summer transfer market ends because, you know, knowing Barcelona, there's always movements, especially during the final days of the market. So I kind of want to wait until everything's done, all the dust is settled, and then I'll make a video about the entire squad, all the exits, all the new signings, and what the squad could look like for the upcoming season. All right, Isaac is here. Crispy Chicken, what's up, man? Wolver, what's up? Sundar says, for upcoming season, what formation Xabi will use? Again, we won't know for sure until we see the team play the preseason matches, until we see what teams, what players Barcelona ends up signing, if there's any more signings or not. Just a little bit too early to be discussing a next season formation and next season plans for the squad. Moose says, am I the only one who doesn't want Felix? If he really dreamed of playing for Barca, he had many opportunities to come. Again, we'll talk about Joao Felix in a little bit, so stay tuned. Fitzroy's in the live stream. Let's see what else. Clifford from Nigeria, what's up, man? Good to have you in the live stream. Robbie says, let's go Ansu. And then Moose says, don't forget to hit the likes, guys. Yes, guys, 81 people watching, but only 25 likes. Let's make that 81 people watching with 81 likes. Because again, liking the video is actually very important. It prompts YouTube to recommend it to other people who've never seen the channel, which then in turn, you know, helps more viewership, more subscriptions, etc. And especially because this video contains some pretty interesting news about Josep Maria Bartomeu, which I will tell you all about it. Now, the Catalan police have been investigating what's called the Barca Gate. If you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard what Barca Gate is, that's the scandal where it was discovered that Josep Maria Bartomeu had hired a PR firm or a marketing firm in order to publish good things about himself, make himself look better in the news, while at the same time dispersion people like Messi, like Piqué, and anyone who dared to point the finger at Bartomeu and say that he was doing a bad job. This marketing firm was paid to make sure, talk crap about those people in the media. That's the scandal of the Barca Gate. Police have been investigating the Barca Gate for quite some time. And while today they dropped a bombshell report saying that they will now investigate the former president, Josep Maria Bartomeu, for diverting funds from the club for his personal use. Now, how exactly did this happen? Well, back in 2015, Bartomeu was elected. He signed a contract with a marketing company called Amalgama, whose president's name is Mikel Sambola, who, no surprise, happens to be a really close friend of Bartomeu. So Bartomeu signs this contract with this marketing firm whose president is one of his really good friends. So far, it's okay. Nothing looks too bad. You know, whenever there's a new board, they always sign deals with new marketing firms to market stuff. But this is when it starts to get a little bit dicey. Now, the contract was for 84,000 euros per season that Amalgama would get, plus any other charges that Amalgama would charge. So 84,000 is kind of like a retainer for every season. But then the marketing company would be able to charge also per, you know, per articles, investigations, etc., extra on top of those 84,000 euros. But when it gets really dicey is when you actually look about where all that money that Barcelona supposedly paid Amalgama for marketing purposes. And it turns out that only a small percentage, I think about 14% of all the money that Barcelona paid this marketing company actually went to the company itself. So only 14% out of hundreds of thousands of euros that Barcelona paid this company actually went to the company, with most of the money going to other people. Now, you're asked, where did this money go? Well, 43% of all the money that Barcelona paid to Amalgama Marketing went to Josep Juan Martí, who worked with Bartomeu's son at the company owned by Bartomeu's family. We don't know why. Just 43%, almost half of all the money that Barcelona paid went to this guy who happens to work with Bartomeu's son at Bartomeu's company. Another 26% went to Marçal Llorente, which, if you're wondering who Marçal Llorente is, I talked about this in previous videos. Marçal Llorente is, quote unquote, reporter who was hired by Barcelona to make Bartomeu look good in the press, while at the same time talking crap about other people. So Marçal Llorente received 26% of all the money that Barcelona paid Amalgama Marketing, in order, again, to make Bartomeu look good and disparage anyone else that went against Bartomeu. And then another 14%, or the remainder of the money, I should say, went to two more reporters, one called Albert Lesan, the other one is Alberto de la Torre, and finally, the remainder money being paid to Sambola, who's the president of Amalgama Marketing, who's also the friend of Bartomeu. So, again, to recap, Barcelona hired this firm in 2015. They were paying him a lot of money every year, but only a small fraction actually went to the company itself, with most of the money going to Josep Juan Martí, who's a friend of Bartomeu, to reporters to make Bartomeu look good in the press, and to the president of Amalgama, who's also a close friend of Bartomeu. Now, the plot thickens even more, because this is not it. In 2019-2020 season, when COVID hits, the club starts to slash the budget all across the board, slashing the salaries of the Barcelona employees, negotiating salary deferrals and reductions with the players themselves, slashing the budget all across the board, because the club were obviously not making any money because of COVID. But yet, when Amalgama reached out to Barcelona and said, we want more money, Bartomeu approved the doubling of the entire contract of Amalgama Marketing. So while the club was bleeding money, cutting budgets all across, Bartomeu approved that Amalgama be paid twice the money that they were already getting paid, that which was not even going to Amalgama itself. It was going to all these people who were Bartomeu's friends. So it's becoming very clear that what Bartomeu was doing with Amalgama was to steal money from the club, make it seem on the paper and books that he was paying a marketing company, which is normal. All football clubs have marketing companies on retainer. That's fine. But in reality, that money was not going to the marketing company. It was going to all these other people, which is kind of similar to what I think happened with the whole Negreira case. Well, I think Bartomeu and Sandro Rosé on the books, they were making it seem like Barcelona were paying for referee reports, giving money to Negreira. But in reality, they were only probably giving him a small portion of that money while pocketing the rest. So this is the conclusion of the Catalan Police from what they've investigated so far. You know, they've gone through all the books, emails, text messages, WhatsApp text messages, and audios, and they suspect that Bartomeu was diverting funds for personal use. So now the investigation has turned more towards Bartomeu. And honestly, if this really did happen, which is a very high likelihood that it did, I really hope that this thug ends up in prison and pays for all the damage and destruction that he has caused the club, because it's unfortunate what has happened with this guy. All right, so let's get back to the comment section. Let's see what you guys think about this news, and then we'll talk about Raphinha, because Manchester City are interested in signing the Brazilian. All right, where did we leave off? Wow, the humble stars of Belgium. Greetings from Belgium. That's awesome. I didn't know anybody was watching in Belgium. So welcome and thank you for watching. Joshua, who's watching from Nigeria, he says it's midnight there. Again, thank you for staying up late to watch this. Arnau says Joao Felix are lying, blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't want to touch on this subject until later because it is subject of the video. Moose says, so glad Balde and Yamal renewals are done. Same. Hoopers is asking about Bernardo Silva. I'll mention it a little bit. Tejas says, any news on Todibo's transfer? I haven't heard anything, but yeah, you know, we do have that future percentage of any future sale, so we would get 20%, but I haven't checked. It's a good question. I'll check to see if Todibo has been transferred or not, because we will get money from that. Robbie says, alas, I'm forced to watch MLS. Yeah, I might catch a few matches. I just want to see how Busquets, Alba, and Messi will fare at Inter Miami. I don't think Messi knew how hot Miami is when he signed up. Saw pictures from his training yesterday, and he's just like completely covered in sweat. I don't think I've ever seen him that sweaty when he trained with Barcelona. David says, Mo, are there any players we sold that you wish we kept? Well, we haven't sold anyone. We've only gotten rid of 2 players, which is Umtiti, that we canceled his contract, and then Collado, whose contract has technically been canceled pending his signing of Real Betis, but the official announcement has not been made. Let's see, what else? Arnau says, selling Raphinha to ManCity will be a big mistake. I truly believe that Raphinha will be a monster at Barca. All right, that's a good segue because it's time to talk about Raphinha. Because today a report dropped saying that Manchester City are seriously considering signing Raphinha if Mahrez leaves. Now, Mahrez right now, to give you a little bit of background, he has been receiving a very lucrative offer, or several offers that have been getting higher and higher from a Saudi club. I think it's Al Hilal. Al Hilal are trying to sign Mahrez away from Manchester City. It's not confirmed whether he's going to be going to Manchester City, to Saudi League or not. But it's reported that if Saudi League does end up convincing Mahrez to sign for Al Hilal, then Manchester City will make an offer to Barcelona in order to take Raphinha away. Now, having said that, where does this whole thing stand? Well, Xavi considers Raphinha as an untouchable and untransferable player. He fully counts on him. He considers him a fundamental piece of his team. But Barcelona, even though they are aware of Xavi's stance, they think that Raphinha is not for sale. But if the club does receive a lucrative offer, then it would be their economical duty to consider it, given the economic status of the club. Now, as far as untransferable or untouchable players, if you may, I think there's like 2 categories in the club. There's those who are really, really untransferable, like Gavi, Pedri, Mark ter Stegen, Ronald Araujo, Balde. These players who are for sure, no matter how much money they offer Barcelona, they're not going to be sold. And then there's those players who, yes, they're not transferable and they're not for sale. But if the club do receive a big offer, then the club would have to consider it, just because the club are going through a difficult financial situation. Players like maybe Christensen, players like Koundé, Raphinha. So Raphinha is definitely in this category. So even though Xavi considers him untransferable, the club, if they do receive a big offer, they would have to consider it. But regardless, none of this is important, because Raphinha has made it very clear time and time again that he's happy in Barcelona, that he doesn't want to leave Barcelona, that he's happy with the confidence that Xavi has put in him and the important role that he gave him last season. And Raphinha truly believes that last season was his adaptation season, and this upcoming one is going to be his best season yet. So Xavi doesn't want Raphinha to leave. Raphinha doesn't want to leave. Barcelona's official stance is that Raphinha is not for sale. And even though they would consider an offer, if it was a big one, something north of 70 million euros, I still don't think that this deal will happen. So Manchester City could be interested all they want. I really, really don't see this deal happen at all because, again, the player doesn't want to leave. Xabi doesn't want him to leave. So that's that. Now, there is talks about that maybe Barcelona could consider a swap deal where they would send Raphinha and bring Bernardo Silva, since Bernardo Silva is Xavi's dream signing. But again, I don't see this happening because, like I said, Raphinha does not want to leave. And if the player doesn't want to leave, there's simply nothing you can do about it. That's why contracts exist. All right, let's head to the comment section and then we'll talk about Joao Felix because there's been a lot of talk about him in the media. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Man, this chat really got away from me, which is good. It's good. I like that everybody's participating. Let's see. Ruben says, "Hey Mo, I finally get to watch your live. I watch your videos every time you release one, but unfortunately, since I sleep so early for work, I never get to watch your live." Welcome, Ruben, to the live stream. Thank you for watching the videos and for your support. I'm glad you were able to make it to a live stream, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. Les says, Lincoln, what's up, man? Lincoln is late, but he's here, and that's what matters. Say more from Trinidad. Man, there's a lot of people from Trinidad who watch the live streams. I love it. I love it. I'm going to have to make a trip down to Trinidad and Tobago because someone taught me how to say it correctly, so I'm happy that they did. All right, let's see. Matthew says, Vizca Barça, indeed. Wow, someone's watching from Holland. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for joining in. Okay, let's see. Someone asked, and then the chat got away from me. Damn it. I don't know where it went. Anyways, Victor says, the criminal must be punished. Yes, I hope Bartomeu gets punished and spends a long time in prison because that's what he deserves. And Victor also says Ferran should leave for Felix. Felix is better than Ferran. All right, that's a great segue because it's time to talk about, you guessed it, Joao Felix. Because today a report came out saying that Barcelona are negotiating with Atletico de Madrid a loan for Joao Felix with an option to buy. Now, all of these reports have come out as a result of Joao Felix making some very interesting statements where he said that he wants to play at Barcelona. That's always been his dream to play at Barcelona ever since he was a little kid, and that he hopes to play at Barcelona one day. And after these statements came out, a lot of reports starting linking Joao Felix with the club. Now, it's no secret that Jean Laporta is a huge fan of Joao Felix. He said it in previous interviews that it would be kind of his dream signing to see Joao Felix play at the club. So all of this combined, again, has given rise to these reports saying that Barcelona are going to sign Joao Felix or negotiating to sign Joao Felix on loan. Also, another report claimed that Barcelona are considering swapping Ferran Torres for Joao Felix, or maybe even Frank Kessie for Joao Felix. And unfortunately, guys, for those of you who do like Joao Felix, all of that is just one big pile of bullcrap. Barcelona are not negotiating with Atletico de Madrid for Joao Felix. There's no negotiations. There's not even communications between the clubs. Not a phone call, not an email, not a text message, not even an emoji, nothing between the clubs in regards to Joao Felix. Yes, Joao Felix might be Jean Laporta's dream, but the club simply cannot afford him. Atletico de Madrid signed Joao Felix for 120 million euros. There's no way in hell that they're going to let us have him for free or for even a reduced price. Atletico de Madrid would not come down on the price of Carrasco from 19 million to 9 million that Barcelona wanted. So they didn't want to reduce Carrasco's price for 10 million euros. And we're talking about Carrasco, who's 30, who has only 1 year on his contract left. There's no way in hell they're going to want to come down on the price of Joao Felix. Forget about it. Plus, Joao Felix has a really big salary, which Barcelona would not be able to register. So this is absolutely all bullcrap. There's no negotiations between Barcelona. And actually, Atletico Madrid did confirm this through an official statement where they seem to be very pissed about the statements that Joao Felix made. It's getting a little ugly. Joao Felix does want to leave. I don't know if it was the smartest thing to make these statements, He still has to train with his teammates. He still has to show up to the club every day. I don't know if this is the way to go about it, but either way, Joao Felix to Barcelona is not happening. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we'll talk about Ferran Torres and Arnau Tenas. Two brief news. We'll put them together, but let's see what you guys think. All right. Let's see. Victor says Xavi needs to communicate with Ferran. I mean, he has. But again, these players have contracts. If they say they don't want to leave, then there's nothing you can do about it. Rick says 90 million for Raphinha is acceptable. I mean, honestly, I would give Raphinha away for free, but, well, maybe not for free. But the fact that he doesn't want to leave and Xavi doesn't want him to leave, so it's not going to happen. Let's see. Boom. Oreo says, if you do sell Raphinha, who would you replace him with? That's a good question. I don't think we would need to replace him because we have Dembele, and I think we can have some people from Barca Athletic kind of swapping out back and forth. Also, if Xavi does play the 4-4-2, you could also have Ansu Fati, since it looks like he's going to be staying, kind of like subbing with Dembele, and obviously Lewandowski to his left. You don't really need to substitute him. Let's see. Where did we go? This chat moved on me again. Randall says, great job, Moy. I really appreciate your dedication. Thank you, Randall. Thank you. Thank you for watching and for your support. And we'll do one more comment, and then we'll get back to the news. And Adekola says, hi, Mo. With the financial fair play, do you think Barca will leave out important players unregistered? Oh, from Spain. Awesome. What part of Spain? Please let me know. I love Spain. Whenever I visit Spain, I have a great time. I'm actually due to go there next month. I have a wedding in Barcelona. I'm very excited. I love going to Barcelona. And actually, speaking of, I was going to announce this later, but since I will be in Barcelona next month, I am going to try to take my camera with me to the Spotify Camp Nou and do some videos and some pictures and kind of bring you like a status of what the construction is looking like. So far, I've seen pictures. It looks really scary. It looks like it was bombed. But yeah, I would love to go and see, and I'll make a short video about that. But anyways, let's see. Wait, was I supposed to answer a question and I forgot about it? Oh, yeah. The question was, will any players be left unregistered? The answer is no. Barcelona are transmitting total confidence that all players will be registered on time. I know there was a media report yesterday saying that Barcelona were in trouble because they were short 60 million euros. I made a video about it yesterday and how Barcelona were running out of time. Running out of time. The market closes September 1st. That means we have a month and a half for Barcelona to register the players. We're not running out of time. In fact, if you look at the La Liga's registration logs, only 2 players in all of La Liga have been registered, which is Arda Güler and someone else. No other club has registered their new signings or their contract renewals, including Real Madrid. They haven't registered yet. The renewals of Modric or Kroos, they haven't registered. Bellingham. It's still pretty early to say that Barcelona are out of time and they're not going to be registered. This is just sensationalism in the media, which I'm not surprised because, Spanish media loves to create fake hype and negative hype around Barcelona. All right, so let's get back to the news because I have 2 more bits of news and then we'll wrap it up and just do comments and discussion. But the news is about, first, Ferran Torres, because it seems that Aston Villa are still interested in Ferran Torres. And there was a lot of talks earlier about how Aston Villa were interested, that they were considering loaning him or consider transferring him, but nothing was really concrete. This was just media reports, but it seems that the interest now is real. So now it's not just media reports. It's not just reporters thinking Aston Villa is interested in Ferran. Looks like the interest is real. They are considered signing him. There hasn't been official negotiations yet, but the interest is real. Now, of course, it's good news for Barcelona because they want to offload Ferran, but nobody seems to want him. But it seems that Aston Villa could be the one to rescue us. But of course, the player is insisting that he wants to stay in Barcelona. So the club are very aware of this because no matter how much interest the club get or what kind of offers they get, again, if the player says he doesn't want to leave, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. Hopefully the club and Xavi can convince Ferran to leave. But of course, we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with the player. The second news is about Arnau Tenas, who is the Barca Athletic goalkeeper. His contract ran out on June 30th, so he's officially a free agent. It seemed like he was going to join another club, but then Barcelona or Laporta really insisted that Barcelona do everything in their power to renew the contract of Arnau Tenas because he is a La Masia product. He's someone who is a Barcelona fan through and through. But for now, there haven't been much negotiations because Arnau Tenas doesn't want to sit down at the table until he knows what his future with the club looks like. Now, this is where it gets a little murky because the future of Arnau Tenas is not even clear for the club itself. It seems that there's division amongst people inside the club, with some wanting Iñaki Peña, of course, to be the second goalkeeper of the first team and the future goalkeeper once Mark ter Stegen decides to retire. And there's a lot of people in the club who think it should not be Iñaki Peña and it should be Arnau Tenas instead. And they think that keeping Iñaki Peña as the second goalkeeper would hinder Arnau Tenas' growth and would push Arnau Tenas to another club, and they don't want to see that. So they believe that the best option would be to send Iñaki Peña on loan and to give Arnau Tenas a new contract and have him play as the second goalkeeper right next to Mark ter Stegen. So very murky. We don't know what's going to happen because the club is not unanimous on who should be the second goalkeeper, whether Iñaki Peña or Arnau Tenas. What do you guys think? Who do you think should be the second goalkeeper? Let me know in the chat section, which we'll now discuss because that's all the news for today. So we still have plenty of time or several minutes to just do comments. So let's see what you guys have to say. Crispy Chicken says we should swap Ferran for Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo just renewed his contract, so that's not going to happen. David says, I know I'm going to get slaughtered, but I think Ferran is better than Abde. You know, you're not completely wrong, but maybe if it was a different team. Because I think I stand by that Ferran Torres is a good player. Don't get me wrong. But not at Barca. I think the jersey is just too much for him. It's too much weight on his shoulders. If it was maybe at Valencia, Ferran from Valencia, I would say yes, 100%. He is better than Abde. But at Barca, I don't think that statement is true. Because again, I think it's just signing for Barca was too much for Ferran. Plus, I do like Abde, don't get me wrong. But I think people do overhype him. Remember, Abde hasn't proved anything yet. I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying he sucks. He's a good player, lots of potential, but he has yet to prove himself in Barcelona. But yet people still hype Abde like, you know, he's Ronaldinho or something. Not there yet. He might be, but we don't know yet. We still have to give him a chance to prove himself, which he hasn't done. Now, of course, Ferran hasn't either. So that's why I say I don't know if you could say that statement for sure. But anyways, let's see. Sander says, any chance of selling Ferran and Garcia? I just talked about that. Akeem says, so what is our starting midfield? Gundogan, Frankie, Pedri, and Gabi. No, it will be for sure. Well, see, that's the thing. We can't really say for sure because the preseason hasn't even started. But if I were to guess, I would say Oriol Romeu. You have to have Oriol Romeu in the pivot. Probably surrounded by Frankie, Gundogan, and Pedri, where Gabi probably in the rotation with those guys. So that's my guess. And of course, we'll probably see Romeu also on the bench sometimes with maybe Gundogan in his place. So, but again, all this is extremely hypothetical because the preseason hasn't started. Once we start seeing the matches, Juventus, Arsenal, Madrid, AC Milan, then we'll get a better idea because we'll be able to see how the players are performing and what Xavi's plan is, but it's a little bit too early. Okay, let's see. Moon says it's depressing here in Ferran. He doesn't want to leave. I know. Oh, Hopper says Mahrez signed for Al Hilal. Okay, good to know. So if he signed that, we'll see Manchester City will make that official offer. But Barcelona's official stance is that Raphinha is not for sale. So we'll have to see. All right. Let's see. Moose says Barca need to do everything to make the deal happen. Which deal? Ooh. Let's see. What else? So Moose says Iñaki is not that good, in my opinion, so I don't mind Arnau getting a chance. I think both of them are good. They're completely different styles of goalkeepers. So I think it becomes more about personal preference. But I wouldn't say Iñaki is not good. I think they're both excellent goalkeepers. Barcelona has been producing some really great goalkeepers. I think that's something that's very underrated that people don't talk about too much. But Barcelona has been producing some very solid goalkeepers out of La Masia. All right, let's see. Richard says, I honestly don't understand how we expect to sign some of these players if players don't leave. I mean, we're not, as far as Joao Felix and them, or Silva, like I said, those are just fake reports. That's not going to happen. Theophilus says, hi Mo, watching from Ghana. Abde has a higher ceiling than Ferran. I agree. I think he does. But again, we still have to see him. He still has to prove himself. I'm not saying that he won't. We just have to, people sometimes overhype him a little bit. But you have to be patient with these things. And after all, Abde is still young. So he's still plenty of room to grow, plenty of time. So we'll have to wait and see. Rick Daly says we only need Bernardo. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think we need a right back over Bernardo. I'm content with our midfield. I mean, would Bernardo Silva be a huge boost for Barcelona? Sure. But do we absolutely need him? I don't think so. I think we need I would rather sign someone for the right back over signing Bernardo Silva. All right, let's see. Aaron says, so who's left at our backup wing backs? Well, we still have Ferran. We have Ansu, Raphinha, and Dembele. So far, those are 4. All right. Let's see. We'll do one more and then we'll wrap it up. Poyito says, any Cancelo news? No news on Cancelo. Barcelona will only sign him on loan and he would have to reduce his salary a lot. Manchester City would prefer to permanently transfer him. So no updates on that. All right. Akeem says, Xavi putting trust in Dest. No, Xavi does not count on Dest. He doesn't even want to see him. But here we are. He has no offers, unfortunately. Anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for the likes, the comments. I will see you in tomorrow's video. So have a good night or good morning wherever you are. And as always, Visca Barça.